The Arabian Gulf was a sheet of black silk that night, broken only by the jeweled lights of Dubai Marina. Dozens of yachts bobbed lazily in the water, their decks alive with champagne laughter and thumping bass. Among them, the Al Zahra, a sleek white superyacht trimmed in gold, glittered brightest. Captain Yusuf Hamdan stood at the helm, his sharp eyes scanning the horizon. He'd captained Khalid Al-Rashid's parties for years, and he knew the routine. The prince's closest friends, a handful of wealthy foreigners, and a rotating cast of models. But tonight, something felt different, an uneasy hum beneath the music. Below deck, 24-year-old Anya Volkova adjusted her diamond-studded earrings in the stateroom mirror. She was stunning in a silver cocktail dress that caught every flash of light, a look she had perfected since leaving Siberia's frozen edges for Dubai's catwalks. But her reflection betrayed nerves. Her hands trembled as she tucked a strand of blonde hair behind her ear. Anya had been avoiding Khalid's gaze all evening. He had noticed. Up on deck, Khalid, royal cousin, philanthropist, and notorious heartbreaker, watched her from across the bar. His tailored white kandjura gleamed under the deck lights, but his easy smile had faded. Friends chatted around him, oblivious to the storm building between them. Witnesses would later recall seeing Khalid pull Anya aside, their silhouettes framed against the city skyline. Their voices, low and sharp, were drowned out by music. A few guests laughed off the tension, thinking it was just another lover's spat. By midnight, most guests had drifted toward the dance floor or lounged on suns. The sea breeze carried faint strains of a DJ's remix across the water. Somewhere below, a door slammed, a sound out of place among the laughter. Minutes later came a muffled thud. The music faltered briefly, as if even the speakers sensed something was wrong. Captain Yusuf hurried down the narrow staircase, the smell of spilled champagne hanging in the air. He knocked once on the stateroom door. No answer. When he pushed it open, he found Anya sprawled on the carpet, her silver dress torn at the shoulder. A wineglass lay shattered beside her, and a string of pearls, the ones Khalid had given her, was snapped, beads scattered like tiny moons across the floor. Khalid stood near the railing, his expression unreadable. "She slipped," he said quickly, too quickly. Yusuf crouched beside her, checking for a pulse he knew he wouldn't find. The silence that followed was deafening. Then a guest screamed. Another fumbled for a phone, hands shaking as they called the Coast Guard. When authorities boarded the yacht minutes later, the scene was chaos. Guests whispering in corners, a DJ unplugging his equipment, Khalid pacing with a glassy stare. Dubai's skyline shimmered behind him, a city built on secrets and spectacle. Detective Mariam Saeed arrived shortly after. She was known for her calm under pressure, but even she felt the weight of the moment. This wasn't just any case. This was a member of the royal family. She stepped into the stateroom, her eyes sweeping over the broken necklace, the overturned wineglass, and the bruises already darkening on Anya's wrist. Out on the deck, whispers spread like wildfire. Was it an accident? A jealous rage? Phones buzzed with messages no one dared send. Above the glimmering city, the Burj Khalifa loomed like a silent witness to the tragedy. Far away in a modest Dubai apartment, Anya's roommate Lena Petrovna would wake later to a string of missed calls, her heart sinking with each unread message. She de-warned Anya not to trust Khalid's promises. Now, as the yacht floated under a moonlit sky, the cost of that trust was written in silence and scattered pearls. Long before her name made headlines, Anya Volkova was just another ambitious girl from a windswept Siberian town. Winters there could freeze the river solid for months, and Anya would stand on its edge dreaming of warmer places, places where silk dresses replaced wool coats and city lights drowned out the stars. At 17, she caught the eye of a small-time photographer who convinced her she had the looks to model. By 19, she had saved enough to book a one-way ticket to Dubai. The city she imagined was paved with opportunity. But the glamour came at a cost. The runways were competitive, rent was steep, and many casting calls felt less like business and more like tests of compromise. Her roommate, Lena Petrovna, was another Russian transplant, a sharp-tongued makeup artist who'd learned the hard way how fickle the Dubai scene could be. Lena warned Anya about the whispers, wealthy men who promised the world but often left heartbreak in their wake. Anya promised she was different. She wasn't looking for a benefactor, she wanted her own career. Still, when she was invited to a private art gala at the Burj Al Arab, she couldn't resist. It was there, beneath a chandelier of 1,000 crystals, that she met Prince Khalid Al-Rashid. He was effortlessly charming, dressed in traditional white with a gold-trimmed bisht. Unlike the leering businessmen she'd grown accustomed to dodging, Khalid was attentive and soft-spoken. He asked about her hometown, her dreams, even her favorite Russian poets. Anya, disarmed, found herself laughing easily in his presence. The affair began with subtle gestures, an unannounced bouquet of white lilies after a runway show, a chauffeured car waiting outside her apartment. Khalid's invitations grew bolder. Late-night drives along Jumeirah Beach, dinners in exclusive rooftop lounges, a weekend on a yacht far from prying eyes. Yet beneath the glitter, cracks formed. Khalid was engaged to Amira bin Saud, the daughter of a prominent Emirati family. Their marriage, though not yet public, was meant to consolidate two powerful lineages. Anya overheard whispers about this at a backstage fitting and confronted him. "It's just politics," Khalid had said one night, the city lights reflecting in the tinted windows of his Rolls-Royce. "You're the one I choose." She wanted to believe him. She ignored Lena's skepticism and the occasional anonymous text warning her to stay away. But the secrecy began to gnaw at her, no public photos together, no official acknowledgement. She was a ghost in his life outside the yacht parties and private suites. Meanwhile, Anya's modeling career was faltering. She missed a runway audition after a late-night yacht party with Khalid. A sponsorship deal fell through when a rival hinted she was kept by a royal. To the industry's sharks, rumors could be as deadly as scandals. One night, alone in their apartment, Anya confided in Lena. "He says he loves me, but sometimes I think maybe I'm just a game to him." Lena's reply was blunt. "Men like him don't marry girls like us. You're playing with fire, Anya." But by then it was too late. The affair wasn't just a secret. It was leverage, danger, and desire wrapped together. And as Khalid's wedding announcement loomed, Anya faced a choice: disappear quietly or force his hand. She chose neither, at least not yet. Somewhere deep down, Anya believed Khalid would keep his promises. She couldn't imagine that the city she had come to for her dreams would become her final stage. The morning after the Burj Al Arab Gala, Dubai's fashion circles buzzed with gossip. A single blurry photo, Khalid's unmistakable profile leaning close to a blonde in a silver dress, had surfaced on a small modeling forum. It wasn't on any major tabloid yet, but whispers move faster than headlines. At a rooftop brunch days later, Anya could feel eyes following her. Conversations hushed when she approached. A stylist she'd worked with before offered a strained smile before slipping away. The city that once dazzled her now felt like a web tightening around her. Lena noticed the change, too. "You're trending for the wrong reasons," she said, scrolling through her phone. "Someone's leaking this on purpose." Anya tried to brush it off. "They're jealous," but her voice lacked conviction. Meanwhile, Khalid grew more cautious. He canceled 2 of their planned dinners and insisted on using a new driver he trusted completely. "Too many eyes on us," he said over the phone, his tone clipped. Anya sensed irritation in his voice, not just at the rumors, but at her for existing outside the carefully curated image he needed to protect. At the same time, Dubai's royal circles prepared for Khalid's engagement announcement to Amira bin Saud. The wedding, whispered to be set for later in the year, would unite 2 powerful families. Anya found out through a rival model who sent her a screenshot of an invite mock-up with a winking emoji. That night she confronted Khalid in his penthouse suite overlooking the Marina. "Were you ever going to tell me?" she demanded. He poured himself a drink before answering. "It isn't official yet. You don't understand how these things work." "I understand enough," Anya shot back. "You promised me I wasn't a secret." Their argument stretched into the small hours, voices bouncing off glass walls and marble floors. By dawn, Khalid's anger had cooled, but his warning was sharp. "If this gets out, it will destroy lives. Be careful, Anya." But careful was no longer enough. The next week, a popular Instagram gossip page posted a carousel of yacht party photos. Among them, Anya's unmistakable smile beside Khalid, his hand resting casually on her back. The caption read only, "Dubai Marina royalty knows how to party, but who's the mystery blonde?" Khalid was furious. He suspected someone from his inner circle, maybe even Captain Yusuf, had betrayed him. He called Anya, his voice icy. "Delete anything you have of us, messages, photos, everything." She hesitated. Those messages were her only proof that she wasn't just another rumor. "Maybe I'll keep them," she said quietly, "just in case." Lena, sensing danger, begged her to walk away. "He has power, Anya, you don't. These people, they don't play fair." But Anya felt trapped. Leaving now would make her look like a liar. Staying gave her the illusion of control. Deep down, she feared that if she walked away quietly, she would vanish, just another nameless girl chewed up by a city of secrets. Late one night, scrolling through the gossip page's comments, Anya saw a message from an anonymous account. "You don't know who you're dealing with. Be careful, or you'll end up in the water." She screenshot it, heart-pounding, and sent it to Lena. "They're bluffing, right?" she wrote. Lena replied instantly, "Pack a bag, come home tonight." Anya didn't pack. Instead, she stood by her apartment window, staring at the shimmering city skyline. The towers glittered like promises she had once believed. Somewhere among them, Khalid was probably laughing with friends, secure in the knowledge that his name alone could silence most threats. But not all of them. And as the night deepened, Anya couldn't shake the feeling that someone, maybe Khalid, maybe someone else, was already deciding how her story would end. The Al Zara glided across calm waters under a velvet sky, its polished hull reflecting the glow of Dubai's skyline. On deck, music pulsed, a DJ spinning remixes for a select group of Khalid's trusted friends, international models, and 2 business associates from Riyadh. Champagne flowed freely, laughter punctuating the salty night air. Anya arrived late. She had spent an extra hour choosing her outfit, a midnight blue silk dress and the delicate pearl necklace Khalid had given her months ago. Her arrival drew subtle glances, some admiring, some skeptical. Lena had begged her not to come, but Anya couldn't resist the invitation. Part of her hope this night would prove Khalid still meant what he once promised. Captain Yusuf Hamdan noted the tension as he greeted guests at the gangway. Khalid's smile looked rehearsed, his grip on Anya's hand too tight. He whispered something in her ear that made her flinch slightly before she masked it with a smile for onlookers. For the first hour, everything seemed normal. Drinks clinked, couples danced, the yacht's powerful lights cast a halo on the water. But beneath the glamour, small things felt off. Khalid checking his phone obsessively, a whispered exchange between him and a bodyguard, and Anya stepping out on the aft deck alone, staring toward the Marina as if weighing her choices. Around 11:45 p.m., a guest overheard raised voices near the private stateroom. "You lied to me," Anya hissed, her accent sharp. "You're marrying her next month." Khalid's reply was low, strained. "You don't understand the pressure I'm under." Minutes later, the music faltered as if a power surge had hit. Some guests glanced toward the lower deck, unsure. Then, a muffled crash like a heavy object hitting the floor. Captain Yusuf hurried below. The corridor smelled faintly of spilled wine and perfume. The stateroom door was ajar, its gold handle smeared with fingerprints. Inside, Anya lay crumpled beside the dresser, her pearl necklace snapped, beads rolling across the teak floor. Her silk dress was torn at the shoulder. Khalid stood near the window, his face pale but composed. "She slipped," he said, His voice was too calm, too quick. Yusuf checked for a pulse and found none. The room seemed to shrink around him as the reality set in. A dead woman on the prince's yacht was more than a tragedy. It was a scandal that could topple reputations and ruin lives. Up on deck, the DJ stopped the music. Guests exchanged nervous whispers. Someone screamed when they caught sight of the scene. Another fumbled for a phone, dialing the Coast Guard with trembling fingers. By the time authorities arrived, the yacht was eerily silent except for the slap of waves against its hull. Officers secured the scene, photographing the broken necklace, the overturned wineglass, and bruises forming on Anya's wrist, signs inconsistent with a simple fall. Detective Mariam Saeed boarded shortly after midnight. She'd been called out of bed for high-profile cases before, but never one involving a royal family member. As she stepped into the stateroom, her trained eye caught details others missed. A faint smear on the dresser edge, Khalid's cufflink lying beneath the bed, and the absence of Anya's phone. She questioned Khalid briefly. His answers were clipped and defensive. Anya had been drinking, she lost her balance, there were witnesses to her earlier stumble. But Mariam sensed the tension in the room, the hushed panic among the guests, the way the captain avoided the prince's gaze. Outside, the Marina lights shimmered, indifferent to the chaos unfolding on the water. News of the incident had not yet reached the tabloids, but within hours, someone would leak a photo of flashing police lights on a yacht. And once that image hit the internet, Dubai's glittering facade would begin to crack. As officers escorted Khalid to a private cabin for further questioning, Mariam took one last look at Anya's body. The pearls scattered on the carpet looked like frozen tears, a silent testimony to promises broken and secrets kept too long. The news didn't break in Dubai first, it leaked abroad. At dawn, a Moscow-based gossip site posted a grainy image of police lights flashing on a yacht. By mid-morning, Russian tabloids had splashed Anya Volkova's name across their front pages, rising model dies mysteriously on Dubai Royal's yacht. Within hours, the story ricocheted back to the Emirates through encrypted chats and expat forums. Detective Mariam Saeed knew containment was already slipping. Her superiors summoned her to headquarters, their faces grim. "Handle this discreetly," one senior officer warned. "The family is cooperating, but international attention complicates things." She returned to the Marina with a forensic team. The stateroom felt different now, emptier, colder. Photographs were taken of the broken necklace beads, the smudge on the dresser, the bruises on Anya's wrist. Divers searched the surrounding waters but found nothing, no missing phone, no new evidence. Witness interviews were conducted separately. Most guests claimed they'd heard nothing unusual beyond music and laughter, but their statements lacked consistency. A business associate remembered raised voices. A model recalled seeing Khalid's hand on Anya's arm just before she disappeared below deck. Captain Yusuf Hamdan, his loyalty torn, admitted hearing a muffled crash. Meanwhile, Lena Petrovna awoke to dozens of missed calls. She rushed to the police station, demanding answers. When she saw Anya's photo on the investigator's table, her hands shook. "She told me he made promises," Lena whispered. She was scared of him. She handed over screenshots of Anya's texts, the ones warning that someone had threatened her online. Forensics deepened the mystery. The bruises on Anya's wrist suggested restraint, not a simple fall. Traces of skin were found beneath her nails. And yet, Khalid's lawyers quickly produced witnesses claiming Anya had been drinking heavily and stumbled. They insisted her death was an unfortunate accident. Behind closed doors, royal advisors pressured police to conclude the investigation swiftly. Wealth and power loomed over every step, but Mariam wasn't easily swayed. She reviewed CCTV footage from the yacht, only to discover critical gaps. 2 cameras near the stateroom had mysteriously malfunctioned minutes before the incident. The media frenzy grew. Russian outlets portrayed Anya as a tragic heroine. Dubai gossip circles speculated wildly. Was she blackmailing the prince? Was someone else on the yacht involved? The hashtag justice for Anya trended across Instagram. When Mariam requested a formal interview with Khalid, his legal team stalled. Finally, in a private suite at a government facility, she sat across from him. His composure was intact, but his voice occasionally cracked under her calm questioning. "She slipped," Khalid repeated. "You didn't call for help immediately," Mariam countered. There was confusion, panic. It was an accident. But Mariam's instincts told her there was more. The missing phone bothered her most. It contained their messages, photos, maybe even recordings. Without it, Khalid's narrative remained plausible. Pressure mounted internationally. Women's rights organizations in Russia and Europe demanded transparency. A British newspaper published an exposé on the culture of silence around wealthy men in Dubai. Even some Emirati social media users began questioning whether justice could be impartial. One evening, Mariam received an anonymous tip. A deckhand had quietly left Dubai for Oman the morning after the murder. The tipster claimed the deckhand had seen something, a confrontation, perhaps more. Interpol was alerted, but by then the trail was already cold. Meanwhile, Lena refused to stay quiet. She gave an emotional interview to a Russian news outlet, painting Anya as a bright, hopeful young woman destroyed by power and secrecy. "She wasn't just a model," Lena said. "She was my family, and someone out there knows the truth." Khalid's advisors scrambled. They tightened security around him, monitored the press, and even approached some witnesses with offers to clarify their statements. But the narrative was slipping beyond their control. At a private meeting, Mariam's superior warned her again. "Be careful how far you push. These are powerful people." But Mariam was already committed. She reviewed the timeline again. The muffled argument, the power flicker, the missing phone, the broken pearls. Each detail pointed away from an accident and toward a deliberate act, or at least a violent struggle. As the sun set over the Gulf, the skyline glowed in gold and crimson, but for the first time the city's glitter seemed fragile. Behind the Marina's polished facade, a royal's reputation, a model's memory, and a detective's integrity now hung in the balance. The Dubai sunrise was sharp, and blinding the morning Sheikh Khalid Al-Hassan was quietly summoned for questioning. Again. For weeks, the investigation had been in limbo, but mounting international pressure and growing leaks finally forced the authorities to act. Detective Mariam Saeed entered the briefing room where her team waited. On the table lay a fresh forensic report. Microscopic traces of Khalid's DNA had been found beneath Anya Volkova's fingernails, clear evidence of a struggle. Combined with the missing phone and eyewitness inconsistencies, the case had tipped from suspicion to probable cause. Mariam's superior gave the reluctant go-ahead. "We're not calling it an arrest," he said grimly, "but bring him in." Outside Khalid's luxury villa, discreet unmarked cars lined the street. The sheik emerged in a tailored thobe, his expression unreadable. Cameras hadn't been alerted yet, but whispers traveled fast. By noon, social media buzzed with grainy photos of Khalid stepping into a government SUV. Khalid's legal team went on the offensive. At a press conference hastily arranged at a five-star hotel, his lead attorney declared, "My client is cooperating fully. This is a tragic accident being distorted by rumor and envy." Reporters shouted questions about the DNA evidence, but the attorney dismissed them with a tight smile. Behind the scenes, the royal family moved to shield their image. Senior advisors approached Mariam's superiors, suggesting leniency. Yet the tide of public opinion was shifting. Hashtags like "Justice for Anya" and "No One Above the Law" trended worldwide. Even Emirati influencers, typically cautious, began posting cryptic messages about truth and accountability. The preliminary hearing was closed to the press, but leaks painted the scene vividly. Khalid seated at the defense table, hands clasped. Lena Petrovna clutching a photo of Anya, Mariam delivering testimony with measured calm. Prosecutors laid out their case, traces of force, conflicting statements from guests, and the unexplained camera failures. Khalid's lawyers countered aggressively. They painted Anya as unstable, suggested she'd threatened self-harm, and implied her relationship with Khalid was transactional. The defense produced a yacht crew member who swore Anya had stumbled after drinking. But cracks showed when another witness, questioned under oath, admitted hearing a woman scream just before music volume spiked on the yacht. As the trial opened to the public, the courtroom became a stage. Reporters from Russia, Europe, and the Middle East filled the gallery. Sketch artists captured every furrowed brow, every flicker of emotion. Lena took the stand, her voice trembling but firm. She believed in him, she thought he loved her, and now she's gone. Khalid's cross-examination was tense. The prosecutor pressed him. "You were alone with her before she died." "Yes," Khalid admitted. "You argued." "A disagreement, nothing more." "And her phone, why was it never recovered?" Khalid hesitated, just long enough for murmurs to ripple through the gallery. The defense tried to sow doubt. The missing phone could have fallen overboard accidentally, they argued. The DNA under Anya's nails could be from consensual contact. But when Mariam introduced yacht security logs showing the cameras near Khalid's suite had been disabled manually, the atmosphere shifted. International headlines blared. "Dubai Royal under fire in yacht death." Protesters gathered outside the courthouse, holding Anya's modeling photos. Russian diplomats quietly inquired about extradition, while Emirati officials scrambled to contain the fallout. Midway through the trial, an unexpected twist. The deckhand who'd fled to Oman was detained and brought back. His testimony electrified the courtroom. He recounted seeing Khalid and Anya arguing on the yacht's stern, hearing a crash, then noticing Khalid alone minutes later, visibly shaken. The gallery erupted, journalists typing furiously, Lena burying her face in her hands. The defense attempted damage control, suggesting the witness sought fame or payoff. But the jury, composed of international observers and UAE citizens, looked unsettled. During closing arguments, the prosecutor's voice rang out. "This case is not about royalty or privilege. It is about a young woman's life cut short, and a man who believed his status made him untouchable." The defense countered with warnings against convicting on speculation and tabloid narratives. As the judge prepared to recess, Khalid's face hardened. For the first time, a flicker of fear crossed his carefully controlled expression. Outside, the city's glittering skyline loomed, a reminder of the power he'd once wielded effortlessly and the reckoning now at his door. The courtroom was silent except for the shuffling of papers and the soft hum of reporters' recorders. As the judge entered, every camera lens and sketch artist focused on Sheikh Khalid Al-Hassan, who now seemed smaller beneath the weight of global scrutiny. His once impeccable composure had cracked over weeks of testimony and leaks. The judge's voice was firm and deliberate as he summarized the evidence. The forensic DNA beneath Anya Volkova's nails, the missing phone, the security footage tampering, and the damning testimony from the deckhand. "The court finds sufficient evidence of unlawful violence leading to Ms. Volkova's death," he concluded. Gasps rippled across the gallery. Lena Petrovna clasped her hands tightly, tears welling as relief mingled with grief. Khalid's lawyers whispered urgently, already planning appeals. But the verdict was clear, guilty of manslaughter. The sentence, 12 years in prison with eligibility for early release, struck many as a compromise between justice and political pressure. Outside, protesters holding justice for Anya signs erupted into cheers and chants. International media exploded. Russian outlets declared a partial victory. "Model's death not forgotten." Western commentators debated whether the punishment was lenient. In Dubai, whispers filled luxury lounges and private clubs. If a royal could face prison, perhaps the old certainties were shifting. Detective Mariam Saeed returned to her office, exhausted but proud. She had resisted pressure to bury the case and paid a personal price, frozen promotions, tense meetings, subtle warnings. But her conscience was intact. Watching a sunset over the Marina, she thought of Anya's bright smile from modeling photos and the city's fragile veneer of glamour. Lena traveled back to Moscow carrying Anya's belongings. On her flight, she scrolled through thousands of messages from strangers offering condolences and sharing their own stories of abuse and silence. Anya's story will protect others, she whispered to herself. In prison, Khalid sat in a private cell reserved for high-profile inmates. For the first time, his wealth and influence could not shield him from consequence. The empire he'd built, a string of businesses, investments, and elite connections, was fracturing. Deals collapsed, associates distanced themselves, and his name became synonymous with scandal. Dubai's elite moved on quickly in public, but behind closed doors, caution replaced arrogance. Other powerful men quietly deleted incriminating photos and messages. Yacht parties became less extravagant, the music turned down just a little lower. The glittering city had learned, at least for now, that even its brightest lights cast long shadows. Lena gave one final interview months later. Anya believed in love, she said softly, but power without accountability destroys everything it touches. The camera lingered on her face as she added, "If you're watching this, don't stay silent. Share her story, speak up." Thank you for watching. If Anya's story moved you or made you think about the hidden dangers behind glittering facades, please subscribe to our channel. We share powerful true crime stories every week, stories that deserve to be heard. Hit the notification bell so you never miss the next investigation, and let Anya's memory remind us all why the truth matters.